I'm Lauren Green, and you're in the Strategy Room. All eyes will be on President Obama and Cuba's Raul Castro at this weekend's Summit of the Americas, where they're expected to meet face-to-face, putting aside decades of Cold War-era tensions. Here with a reaction, our political strategist, President Tarlov and Lee Carter. Welcome you both.
Thank you.
So, Jessica, just your reaction to this meeting this weekend.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's also not like a private powwow. There are over 30 leaders there. But they shook hands last night, and John Kerry's been talking to his counterpoint in the Castro administration. And, I mean, if we're going to get somewhere, they're obviously going to need to meet at some point and hash this out. But I don't think it's a situation wherein the U.S. is willing to just give over completely. There's still some important outlying issues, and they're going to talk about, Cuba wants off our terror watch list, and they're also close with Venezuela. And there are things to be watching here. So I don't think it's just they're going to sit down and shoot the breeze and it's all going to be fine. Right,
there's a lot of stuff to go through. And Lee, your reaction to this meeting?
My reaction is, look, Americans are ready for us to restore relations with Cuba. It's a symbolic gesture. It has to happen. Every time we've ever bridged the gap, this would happen. The president needs to sit down and do this. The question I think Americans have right now is not just, is this the right thing to do, but is this the right place for him to be putting his attention right now? There's other symbolic things that we had hoped that he was going to be doing over the last several months that he just hasn't done. So why is he making this a priority and maybe not going to France earlier this year? So I think there's some questions about that, but I think there's no question that people are supporting him and in this action.
So how much of a risk is it for Obama to be reaching out to Cuba at this point? I mean, politically, how much of a risk is it?
I don't think it's a risk.
Not a risk at all?
No, I don't.
It's almost 60% of the American public that wants this, and 97% of Cuba, which in that population matters a lot to a lot of people who are living within our country. So I think it is time for it, and you'd be going to this summit anyway.
But still, that would mean 40% are really not for it. I mean, so is there political
but in polling, in polling terms, the 60% it's pretty good. That's going to get something passed. That's a strong majority. And I mean, we'll have to see what the details of this, but.
And it's also on a steady increase. Just over last year, it's 10% more of the people want us to be back. And I think we're seeing that's what people want. And so I think we should be going in the directions where we're having more alliances. But again, he has to be cautious, and I think he is outlining.
But is the sort of approval of this by the American public, and we're talking about 59%, which is not 100%, but 59%, is that because there's so many people of a certain age that have no understanding of the relationship between Cuba and America and all the bad stuff that went down back in the 50s, Lee?
I think that's a big part of it. I mean, I think certainly those days are forgotten. I think people don't remember what it is. There's a lot of people who think this is going to be great. There's going to be some great artwork coming in, and there's going to be some great cigars that we can all have now.
Cigars,
it's a great vacation that we can now take. I always wanted to go. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that people aren't going to have totally forgotten. I think that, we learn about it in school. Parents tell children about these things. But President Obama was right when he said, times have changed. It's a different era. And it doesn't make sense to have people as enemies when they could be like frenemies, maybe, or something like that.
There's a large sort of Cuban-American population that still have, ill feelings towards, Castro's Cuba, and they might take it on or take it against the Democratic Party because, of course, they can't take it against Obama because he'll be out. But can they actually backfire on the Democrats for this?
They could, but I don't think it's going to be. I mean, there's a lot of benefits that can come from this too. I think just boxing people out isn't necessarily the way forward either. I think that we need to restore diplomacy. I think that people need to come back together. I don't think that we're going to see a big backlash from this. I think there's a lot of other things that are out there that are much more complicated and bigger issues for him.
And Jessica, I mean, listen, both candidates, both parties will need Florida in 2016. Will that be in effect there?
I mean, it certainly will. We've seen it on both sides of the fence, what's gone on early. But yes, I think it will matter. But I think generally it's good for the country. And I think it's also, a key part of the Obama agenda and the Democrat agenda, whether that backfires or not. I mean, diplomacy and showing that diplomacy can work, especially at a time where we're having such difficulty getting it to work in the Middle East. It would be nice for Obama to get a win in that column.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Jessica and Lee. If you want to check out foxnews.com for more on the Summit of the Americas. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.